Okay, surprise, surprise. Y'all see Camille got herself a little surprise too. Alright, see, people can't be messing with people like surprise. So now we got it where there are women who want to bring their sons and their male relatives or whatever to flap, but it's not that easy, because even though men from Earth don't supposed to be on Krail, women from Earth can go to flat, and nothing will happen to them as far as their health or anything like men's health would happen. So it's not that cut and dry, because now we have women who are visiting flap, hanging out there, and maybe even dating other dudes that live on flap. And if these Earth men start coming to flap in droves, we may have a problem. You know, there may be an issue with that. Well, anyway, so y'all go ahead and look at it. This is the season, or the episode, sorry, my fault. That's right before the season finale. Okay, so enjoy, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye. Introduction to the planet Krail, where women work, where women rest, where girls learn, where there are no men from Earth who will survive, where battles are fought, the planet Krail. Episode 13, Scene 1. Dave continued watching her for the next 30 minutes until she closed the book, got up, and headed down the path. He stayed close behind, occasionally ducking behind a tree, so that if she were to turn around, she would not see him. Flap was so safe, and that she did not seem to be guarded, considering all the men who lived there. Apparently, the Flappians were just a bunch of beta males who allowed women like her in their company. If only they knew. Camille turned and headed towards a house. Dave continued watching. She opened the door and stepped in. He watched. It did not seem anyone else was there with her. He stood behind a tree, watching the house. Once Camille entered the house, she called Yukai to let him know that she would be ready to leave soon.
Have you already packed?
Yes, Yukai. I just got a few more things to wrap up. Oh, and I have to take out the trash.
Don't worry. I'll get that for you. I may be running late, but can you meet me at the shuttle in case I am? I am working on an agreement with Ruby regarding what to do with making decisions on allowing men from Earth live here.
Is there a problem, Yukai?
I wouldn't say really. We have to be very cautious, however.
I do get that. Believe me, I get it.
I will see you later, beautiful, and I cannot wait.
Camille smiled. She had never had a man to treat her as good as Yukai had. Scene 2.
How many women have applied for their male family members?
Oki asked Ruby. She checked the computer and then her notes. So far, 2,000. You realize they have to be vetted much intensely than we vet the women who come to Krail. Because we have women visiting flat so much, we don't want those men who are allowed to come here to pose a danger to the women who do visit flat. One of the stipulations was that they could not be a violent or have a criminal past. And if they have an ex-wife or girlfriend on Krail, that automatically disqualified them from living on flat. To Ruby, that would disqualify many men. So many men and women are going to be disappointed, Ruby said, but her only concern was protecting Krail. She did not want Earthmen having that much access to the Planette. She did not care who they were.
So, many women are going to be disappointed when they learn their adult sons may not qualify to be on FLEP.
Oki said, and Ruby just shrugged that off. That's just too bad, Oki. They knew when they moved to Krail, they would not be able to bring men. We cannot accommodate people based on emotion, hence putting others at risk. Looks like those who qualify will be mostly boys. And even with that, we still have to move with caution.
Might I ask why that is?
Because boys learn very early how to be violent towards girls. On Earth, that is why.
My, that is awful.
It's facts, Oki. Just the facts. They continued going through the applications that had been sent to them. So far, they had gotten through over 1,000, and only 17 seemed to be okay for interviewing. The others were marked as NAFI, meaning not accepted for interviewing. Carleth, Nehemiah's mother, had boasted about being able to visit her son without having to travel to Earth. Many other women wanted that same comfort, but Ruby was not there to pacify them. She did not want women on Krail to feel restricted or unsafe regarding visiting FLEP because they were concerned about Earthmen running around, especially the young students who often visited there for class projects.
Why don't we take a break, Ruby?
Yes, that sounds like a great idea, Oki. She headed to the kitchen and fixed them shelling tea, which was relaxing. Afterwards, they headed to her sunroom. They sat next to each other. He put his arm around her, and she did not object.
Ruby,
Yes, Oki.
I would like the experience of marriage. Would you?
Well, Oki, Hold on, let me get that. He hoped it wasn't another emergency. The last time they were interrupted, and Diet was squaring off with Noan, the now extinct leader of Kuzin. He heard her say, Yes, Christian, I got the data. When do you need to meet with us? When she hung up, she said, Christian is on her way over with Dr. Fatima. They want to discuss with us measures regarding examining men whom we plan to interview.
Okay. Is there anything you would like me to do for you?
Well, nothing special, We are just gathering data right now. Scene 3. Camille decided she would head over to the airfield. The young man who drove her over removed her bags from the vehicle for her and took them to the waiting shuttle. She got on the phone and called Yukai to let him know that she was already there.
Okay, beautiful. I will be there very soon. I know you have students tomorrow. I will not delay you any longer.
Okay, Yukai. See you in a bit. Once the young man who drove her over there left, she decided to get onto the shuttle and wait for her man. She heard someone entering. Hey, that was fast, Yukai. Damien, what are you doing here? Damien was now going by the name David. He was the same guy she had stolen money from, and when she found out he had put a price on her head, she ran to the Planette and took her sister Gara with her for fear for her life too. My name is David Whitman now. You don't seem happy to see me, baby. He looked around approvingly and said, You know, no matter how far you run, it's interesting that I can still find you. It's not a small world, Camille. It's a small universe. Damien, listen. I am so sorry that I... No need to apologize, he said as he closed the distance. He looked down at the controls on the panel and said, Wonder if this thing will make it all the way to Earth. You know? I don't know. I've never operated one of these before, Damien. She was so frightened she could feel her pulse in her ears. He leaned closer to the controls near the steering panel, and that's when she broke for it. Making it to the entrance of the shuttle, she was almost outside before he caught her. Help! Help! Somebody help me! Help! Somebody help me! Help! Stop it! He cupped his hand over her mouth and said, Yo, don't you ever try that again, you hear me? She looked into his eyes. She knew he was serious. He was one of the most notorious drug dealers in Charleston, South Carolina. He had many bodies out there with his name on it. The only thing was, you would hear his name on the streets, but you would never hear it in the courtrooms. He dragged her further into the shuttle and shoved her into one of the passenger seats, placing himself strategically between her and the exit. Now, we gonna figure out how to get this thing back to Earth. You gonna pay for what you did to me, okay? I might even put you on a stroll. You still pretty enough to make some money. He then figured out how to start the engine. No, Damon, no. Please, no, Damon. No. Please, Damien, no. No. Oh. She suddenly heard him groan and sink to his knees. She knew Yukai would eventually show up to save her. But to her surprise, it was not Yukai. Behind him stood a short figure that was not even 5 feet. Andiet stood there staring at her. Then she looked down at David and said, What is he doing on Flap, Camille? I don't know, Andiet. I don't know. I didn't even know he was here. Luke Heat then appeared, stepping in, and she went around Andiet and knelt beside the unconscious man. She began going into his pockets. Hey, does he have anything valuable on him? Maybe something from Earth that we can use like a souvenir. Leave him, Luke Heat. Do not touch him, Andiet ordered. Then she turned her attention back to Camille and said, This is the man you escaped from Earth. Why is he here?
I did not invite him. I swear and did. You have to believe me.
My brother Yukai went to Dark Planette to get you diamonds. He could have been killed fighting the brooches. You should always be grateful. He put his life on the line for you.
And yet, I did not invite him here. I believe he might be here visiting Nehemiah.
He needs to leave now.
Andia said, and she looked at her sister and said,
Low-key, see if it works now.
Lukeet concentrated on Dave. Until he disappeared. Camille was amazed. She knew Andia had special powers, but she had no idea Lukeet was the same. Since the younger sister had been back on Krail, all of her strengths were restored. Thank you, Andia. Thank you so much. I owe you.
Don't thank me. Treat my brother with appreciation and respect, and I will see it as an honor to become your sister-in-law.
Camille stood, went over to Andia, and hugged her. Andia, it would be an honor to be your brother's wife. I will always respect and appreciate him. I am not the same woman I was when I was on Earth. Can I get a hug too? Lukeet asked. Sure, you can get a hug too, Lukeet. She and Lukeet hugged. Yukai showed up and apologized. I am sorry to be late, but I stopped by Wallow's house to pick up some food. He held 2 containers in his hands. Oh, thanks, Yukai. Are you okay, Camille? He detected some stress in her eyes.
She is fine. Be sure to protect her at all times, my brother.
Andia spoke up before Camille could say anything. The sisters left, and Yukai got behind the control panel. I see you have already started the engine, Yukai said, but she didn't. It was Damien. She wondered if she should tell him about that other man, but something told her that Damien would never be back. Anytime someone ended up on the opposite side of Andia, it turned out bad for them. However, thanks to Andia, she could finally close that chapter in her life and move on. And just think, she thought Andia was a weirdo. Scene 4. Ruby stood on stage answering the questions of women who were trying to get their sons to at least be able to visit Flap.
So my son was convicted of a crime unjustly that had nothing to do with him. He's been in prison for 7 years. I don't understand why y'all just cannot get him out and bring him to Flap.
One woman said, Okay, ladies, we are working hard on this, but please understand we cannot just remove someone from a prison without knowing more about the situation. As the leader of FLEP, I have to make sure that the men who are invited are self-actualized.
Oki spoke up. He was not about to let Ruby take all the heat by herself.
Another woman stood and said,
Okay, so you say that, but you have no idea how black men are treated on Earth. I would have thought that Nehemiah's situation would have shed some light on that, but...
Nehemiah's, excuse me, Mom, I don't mean to cut you off, but Nehemiah's situation was very interesting and unique. But there were not thousands of others who were trying to land on Flep during that time. We were able to spend the time with him because he was just one person. But you have to understand that there is still a waiting list.
Oki said. Another woman stood up and asked, "So you're not saying that our sons cannot come to Flap? Is that what you mean?"
You are correct, ma'am.
Ruby then spoke up and said, "Please keep in mind that many of you who came to Krail had to be vetted as well. Although you were escaping the abuse of men, you have to please keep in mind that the protection of women on Krail is first priority. We are not trying to put any of you at risk. One woman's son or brother may not be dangerous for her, but could be for another woman who decides to visit Flep for whatever reason she deems. We do not want women to be restricted from traveling our beautiful solar system because of that." Ruby, Oki, Jackie, and Dr. Fatima headed to a restaurant after the meeting at the Capital City Auditorium. Wow, all of that energy made me hungry, girls. Those women are really tough and determined to bring their sons up here. This would have worked well for Jillian, Dr. Fatima, Jackie said.
Who is Jillian, may I ask?
That was a woman who brought her son to Krail and passed him off as a girl. That was a few years ago. Then it was discovered he was actually male.
Oh, interesting. Posing as a female. Okay.
He was here for nearly 2 years while we were trying to figure out who was making the planet cloudy, Dr. Fatima said.
If you had known we had a place for him, it would have turned out differently.
But his mother lied to us, Oki. That boy returned to Earth on his own. She knew the regulations and the consequences. That's right. Ruby is right, Oki. She knew what the rules were. Scene 5. Oki had to go and see Nehemiah once he returned to Flap after the meeting with Ruby.
Where is David?
He asked Nehemiah once they were settled in the parlor.
He left. He disappeared. Your guess is just as good as mine, man. He had no way back to Earth. How did he leave? Like I said, Oki, I don't know. He never showed back up. We went out. He went out the other day, and he said he was going to go take a walk. And he never came back. I looked all over the place for him. When we interviewed him, we detected some deception in his answers. Like what? Like, what are you talking about?
Nehemiah wanted to know.
His true name, for example. He lied about it.
His true name? What? His name is David Whitman.
No, that is not his true name. His name is Damian Wilson. We were able to do more digging and discovered he was wanted by the police on your Earth.
That was news to Nehemiah. He did not know about Damian's past life or a criminal past or anything like that.
Look, I'm sorry, Oki. I had no knowledge of it. I've only known him for about 4 years.
It is unfortunate what happens on Earth, Nehemiah. I have determined that it is much easier to vet women who want to live on Krail than it is here for men who want to live on Flep.
So are you saying you won't be allowing any other men from Earth to come here?
I am saying it will be challenging. I need you to tell me about what to look for when determining if a man should be allowed on Flep. Enlighten me on characteristics of men who would be considered a danger to women and who would possibly make trouble for other men.
Well, that would be guys who murder, rape, rob, abuse women and children, stealing,
Why is there so much badness on planet Earth?
I don't know. It's been that way for thousands of years. I was born into a crazy world, and things just keep getting worse.
I understand that. I can see. Stands the reason women on Krail want some of their male relatives to be safe. But our priority, even on Flep, is to keep women safe.
Scene 6. When Camille arrived home, her sister Gara was in the kitchen fixing fried beans with spinach. They had a bean tree nearby that Gara liked to pick. Since her sister was spending time on Flap, she did not have much else to do. Gara would certainly miss Camille once she married Yukai. "Hey girl, I'm back!" Camille shouted once she entered the house. The sisters hugged. "Ooh, girl! How was everything? And I got your text message. What did you want to tell me?" "Girl, sit down. Wait until you hear this." Gara was eager to hear what her sister had to tell her. Okay. What? Guess who was on Flap? Who? Gara's eyebrows furrowed with concern. Damien. Damien? What? How? I don't know. But he tried to steal, check this out, a Flap shuttle and tried to get us back to Earth. Girl, that's dangerous. Y'all would have ended up in yet another unknown solar system. You would have never been able to come back here, girl. And you probably wouldn't even ended up on Earth either. I know. I was so scared. Where is he now? How'd you get out of it? Because I know he was not trying to let you go after all that money you took. Camille had given the money to her parents after she and Gara discovered there was a way to leave Earth so he would never find her. To answer your question about where he is, Andiet and Lukit got rid of him. Lukit used the same eye laser ability and she made him disappear. And where did he end up at? Gara, girl, I don't know. But if they had not been there, you would have never seen me again. Ooh. I know. You know what, though? That Andiet is all right. You know that? Yeah. Yeah, she is. She said she wants me to treat her brother with appreciation. I did not know he went all the way to Dark Planet to find diamonds for me. What? He did what? Oh, girl, this is just getting good. Yeah, that's what Andiet said. He never told me where he got those diamonds. He brought back huge diamonds and had one of them fitted for my ring. Oh, he really loves you, Camille. Man, girl, this man really, he really loves you, Camille. Camille looked away solemnly before saying, "You know what? He does." Mm-hmm. Because no man on Earth would ever take that risk. We've been on Dark Planet. We know what's out there. That's where we met Andiet. And she survived that mess, man. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Gara. You're right. But girl, I'm still tripping off Damien making his way all the way to Flap. Chances are he knows that one guy. What's his name? That boy that, Carla's son. What's his name? Jeremiah. No. It's Nehemiah. His name is Nehemiah. Yeah, because how else could he have come all the way out here? There has to be a connection. Ain't nobody gonna tell me nothing different. Yeah. You know what? I just don't believe they should be allowing men from Earth to Flap. I don't agree with that. I don't either. Maybe what you went through could shed some light on things and make them make better decisions or something like that. But I don't think they should be letting them up here either. They don't know. Yeah, they don't know. What? Camille, you have to tell them. I may not have to. I'm sure Andiet will. Yeah, you know it. And then ain't gonna hold that. She gonna tell her brother. Now let's eat. Yeah, because that food smells so good. I'm so hungry.